Yeah, we can start whenever.
Okay, a legendary persona with me, a man who's really ageless and timeless. He's like Peter Pan. Sanjeev Kapoor, sir, wonderful to see you. It's been a while, and like I said, you're just ageless and timeless. Uh, how do you do it? Positive thoughts, I think.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Rishi. It's been some time. I've been to the studio, but now everywhere there is a studio, I guess. And in terms of, yeah, I don't think there can be anything which does not age, but thoughts can always be young, right? And I think it's the positive frame of mind that helps. And yeah, what can I say? I probably don't eat what I cook. That is why.
Now that is a trade secret, sire. I'm just very fascinated. It's like my Guruji Amin Siani Saab says that radio is the theater of the mind. Audio to me is where I started off. Of course, all the video and the social media has come in, but for a pure audio boy, it's wonderful to see all these books by Sanjeev Kapoor on Audible, and you must have been very excited by the prospect because a lot of people would think that cooking is a very visual medium, but you were one of the earliest adopters of radio. You've been in and out of radio studios for as long as I can remember, so I know that you're passionate about audio.
Yes. So you're right. Most people think that cooking as a medium, especially teaching of cooking as a medium, is something which can only be done through audio video medium. And I have a TV channel, Food, which is audio video, of course, YouTube channel, all of that. But I think if we look at much before all this TV shows, YouTube, all of this, how did the younger generation learn? And what I saw was that daughter would call her mom after she's got married. Mom, I need to cook this, and there's a phone and only audio instruction, nothing, and it always worked. And generation after generation, and not always it was possible to show how it is done. So I knew that it works, but more importantly, actually, this was a couple of years ago. I remember I was in Los Angeles, and we had a car drive us around throughout the day, and the driver that was there, an American guy, he was not very literate, but he was conversing with the phone through everything, whether it was using the maps, using anything, and that time in India, people didn't really use voice commands so much. And I thought, oh, now this is something that we need to work more on. And I came back and I started talking, and I actually started with a radio show, which I now do every Sunday on about 30 odd cities all across India. And I realized that the reach that radio medium could give was phenomenal. It's much more, much deeper. The engagement is very high. And then I realized that our Prime Minister, he was using Man Ki Baat very effectively. And I thought there must be logic in it. So I started digging deep into the audio format, and I started working towards it. And I started working with Amazon Alexa, and we started working, and we are one of their first partners with Amazon. And even today, Sanjeev Kapoor is a 1P partner with Amazon, which means that you can ask Amazon Alexa, give me a recipe for chicken biryani. And you don't have to ask, give me Sanjeev Kapoor's biryani. If you ask chicken biryani, it will give you Sanjeev Kapoor's biryani. So we are a de facto recipe or content provider to them. So I think I have seen when it comes to technology, early adoption is the key, and deep understanding of it. I think that's critical. And so with Amazon Alexa, we started working on Cook Along. So if you have a phone on recipe, audio, video is there, it's fine. But if you have to cook along, you have to pause and play, and your hands are dirty. It's not that easy. But if it is a voice command and you are getting a voice assistant with you, it helps. So the way radio is non-obtrusive, right? You can drive the car, and people will say, "Don't talk on the phone. There is a fine," but you can listen to the radio, right? So it's what how you can interact and how mediums work. You have to have a deeper understanding of that. And I can tell you one thing led to the other. And now with Audible, we have a deeper engagement. We are doing more work with them, and I'm sure that we'll continue to do that.
Also, I want to add to this because of radio and Audible and Alexa being pure audio mediums, they are ambient listening mediums. So you can actually go about your day's business. I mean, you could choose to cook with Sanjeev Kapoor, but suppose you want to just go about your business, you're doing istri in the house, feeding the kids, doing some dusting, you can do that. And that's what an ambient listening medium gives you. Unlike when you have Sanjeev Kapoor on, you're forced by his magnetic persona to look at the screen. So I think in that aspect, a lot of other people must have told you that. They must have said, it's just on there while I'm doing other stuff. Yeah.
So true. It's funny that you should mention that. Actually, when I first launched our food TV channel, and our ratings were very good, and we had not done too much promotion and all of that. And I used to wonder that how come our average time spent by viewer is so high. And I would often laugh because my mom is a viewer of food at home, I would say. And that's exactly how she would treat it. She would switch the channel on and leave it. It's kind of content, food content, so ambient viewing or whatever term that you use. It is and I would say our channel, people treat it as like a radio channel, that it's on. It's not obtrusive. It's something that's there. You can see it. It's so no. I completely agree with you, and yes, I have noticed that definitely.
And I'm thrilled to see you on across all platforms, whether it's in Instagram or TikTok or the regular ones, which is Facebook and Twitter. You seem to be enjoying yourself, because there is one aspect is, oh, it has to be done, sab log hain, to, I've also got to be on. And the other is to find meaningful things to do on those platforms. And in that aspect, food content has changed a lot. And you would know, you're really the father of food content on any platform. And you've adopted to newer platforms and created more content. So let's hear how you managed to do that and what really is the new in food content.
So I would say that any medium that's there, it's a medium of reach. And I think being a student of management, having understood different styles, types, and different management. So in marketing, I would say that first thing is that who is it for, right? Once you understand it, it's a perspective that you look things from. And Facebook is different than Instagram. Parent company may be same. TikTok is very different. Twitter is very different. YouTube is very different. And the demographic profile of each you need to understand. And once you do that, I think then it becomes fairly simple. And it's that is the case with any product or service. If I make a pan for dosa, I need to understand what a nice dosa is. But who would be making? Is it a maid who's making it? But somebody young who's making, somebody who has no knowledge of cooking, whether they're buying dosa batter. So if you understand and deep dive into it, it's not, you don't have to really adopt. You understand the medium, you immerse into it. And so I normally ask So if somebody asks me that, okay, we want this content for our newspaper, let's say an article that's there. And I would say, which edition? Is it national edition? Which is which city? And so you're the only person who asks these questions. And I would normally say that, see, it's no point that if I can give you a recipe which uses broccoli, but in that city where it is going, broccoli may not be available. So I think it's primitive. It's not that difficult. I would say it's intuitive more than anything else. So most people they say that, oh, you need to adopt. I don't think mind ages. It's the body that ages. So all these things are works of mind. It's not that if I am doing content for TikTok, that means I have to do a headstand and cook. No, my cooking is still the same. It's my approach towards that where the mind is there. So understanding of that is not that difficult. When you are a parent also, when you are teaching your child nursery rhyme, you understand at what speed, what should be the pace. When you're teaching, you are training, and you would slow your pace down. You would understand. You don't need to be a kid to teach nursery rhyme to a kid, right? So it's actually it's not difficult. Most people when say that, oh, you have reinvented. I say, no, I am constant. It is same. It's just that when I see things, if you had a motorcycle, you would treat it like that. I would balance it differently. When you have a car, it's different. When you have car with air conditioner, it's different. Everything you look at like that. It's not that you have to adopt every time. It's intuitive. So in content also, mediums will keep on changing. And earlier you get on with them, your understanding becomes deeper. And actually, now it has come to a stage, especially in India, I can say this, that most new platforms take their learning from us. It's not that we are learning from them. So when it comes to food, they would say that, okay, what should we do? How? So TikTok, we were one of the first people to come on board on food. So the strategy on food content for that, how would it be? Whether it's Facebook, whether it's anyone, whether it's Twitter. So I would say that they adopt to what we do rather than we don't really need to. We need to understand who is using those platforms. Yes, that we have to deep dive.
Well said. Just before the lockdown hit, there was this massive boom on home chefs and home cooking that is now translated into home chefs and home cooks getting online and displaying their wares. In fact, I was so pleasantly surprised that I'd walk into, let's say, a Mahalakshmi race course for a food festival, and we'd find, along with all the high-end restaurants and the mid-level restaurants, you'd have food pop-ups by home chefs. And really, cuisine from the Northeast, for example, which is not very well known, all of that had started coming into the urban milieu. And for you, I know that's very close to your heart. Remember the last time we were in studio conversing, we spent some time talking about your mother's dal, and how home cooking is the real thing. And where do you view that as of now, the rise and rise of home cooking?
Yeah, which is a very good sign, and I think I was replying to a message last night. Somebody asked me, "Oh, how's it working for you?" It's a head of a TV channel. I said, "Actually, you know what? It's been fantastic because home cooking has really come back into fashion. People who had never cooked in their lives, they are also cooking, and they're enjoying it." So there was this was last year, and I own a company, Wonder Chef, where we sell home cookware and appliances and all of that. And there was a big study that was done in America, and this study was done by Big Four in consulting space, and it was very disturbing, and we had to seriously look at the whole thing of home cooking, where it said that in next 20 years, country like America, home cooking people would not be cooking at home. That was the study. That was last year. 20 years. I'm not talking 50 years, right? 20 years. And we were saying that, okay, the way things work, which mean it may not happen in 20 years in India, maybe 30 years it will happen in India. And that would be very disturbing, because according to me, home cooking is very nutritious, it's healthy, and that's what you need to have. But one would think, because of lockdown, for whatever reason, I think everyone had to cook. And I have seen many people who have started to enjoy cooking, and all that is home cooking. That's what's happening. So it's a very good sign, because I think health of a nation depends on how well you eat at home. And if you cook at home, even if you cook junk food at home, it would be healthier than the junk food that's available outside. So for a nation to be healthy, I think we need to cook more at home. So let's look at all the lifestyle related diseases in India, which have, I think, skyrocketed in last 10 years, I should say that. The influence has been out of home cooking. That has been a big influence. And if some way, if that can get reversed, which I think there's an early trend that may get reversed much faster than what we would have imagined or hoped for. So it's a good sign. And with that, there are lots of secrets, lots of grandmothers, tips and tricks, and all the tradition that we may have lost. There are chances that they'll come back. And also, one good thing that is happening with it, that with home cooking, there was always a strata of society where women at home were cooking. Now more men are also cooking, which is again a good sign. What is good is that these women or people who are cooking at home, they're understanding that this can become business for them. There are people who are cooking in their societies, they are supplying. Could be pickles, could be one dish in a week, could be a meal for their colleagues. It's something which I think is a fantastic thing to happen, to start in a country like ours. I think we need to create more opportunities of micro economies. And if we can create that through home cooking, I think that's a very good thing. And you don't even know how these things can become so big, so large. What Dr. Kurian started many years ago, and we have now, we are the largest producer of milk in the world and consumer of milk in the world, started through a cooperative movement, and that only from one part of India. So I think this can become a very big movement, can help many homes. So a country which depends on agriculture and in services in last 3 decades, what we have seen, in somehow in all of that, if we can add on to home cooking, giving more employment to people, I think that's very healthy.
What a remarkable point. You see, I'll give you a classic example. The radio business is going through its own share of upheaval in terms of the fact that when I sit with other radio presenters, they're like, boss, ab to yaar koi bhi radio jockey ban chuka hai yaar. You know, because they all have a phone, everybody is doing a podcast. And my view is contrarian. My view is the category should grow. The more people that get out there broadcasting, whether on podcasting or on conventional radio, means more people are getting onto audio and they're making that habit. Likewise in photography, you know, I've had this conversation with both Atul Kasbekar as well as Dabbu Ratnani. And, you know, these are the professionals who turn around and say, yaar, you know, ab to aajkal to koi bhi photographer hai, yaar, you know. So, how will there be an appreciation of a true brew professional? And my reasoning is exactly yours, which is if the category grows, then, you know, people like you and me who have been around for a bit will in any case, you know, reap the fruits of that growing, the labor. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think you cannot. Nothing is permanent, right? But important thing is that if the category grows, more people are part of that, I think that's the true success of anything. I think when it becomes a movement, right? It's. I don't think anyone would have envisaged that India would be the largest producer and consumer of dairy in the world, right? It can be with anything. We will say, oh, we are 1.3 billion, that's why it's there. But we are 1.3 billion in everything, right? We are still not the largest garment producer of the world, though we consume, right? But we are still not. There are many things. We eat so much of dal, but we are still not the largest producer of pulses and legumes and lentils in the world. We are not. So I think it takes takes that kind of thinking, that kind of belief, and more conversations around it, more belief around it, rather than saying, nahi, ye kaise hoga? It cannot be done. Now everyone is there. I think the influencers have to take ownership of it and propagate it that, yes, I believe you can do it, and help them. So we have many influencers in our field, TV chefs, and not just TV chefs, but anyone who's writing, who's blogging, or anyone who's related in food. And I always say, I say this. I was talking to a food blogger, and I said, you know what? If you need any help, anything, tell me. I have fantastic reach, and not just you, your friends, anyone who needs this, feel free to do that. And he blogged that today. That the Sanjeev Kapoor called and he said this. And I'm thinking, no, I said that from my heart. This is what I believe, and because they need that support, and it's not that they need that support. I believe that the category needs to grow, and when the category grows, the opportunities grow, and it's good for everyone. It's not that you can say, oh, what will happen? I cannot do this. I think it'll eat out of my share and all of that. I think life has been too kind to us. We've had much more than what at least I can say about myself, more than what I deserve. I have had much more than that. So I can't complain.
Yeah, gratitude, it's something that we all need to cultivate, especially in times like this. So what is going to happen now is a big question on everybody's lips. I mean, people like industry leaders like Kamlesh Barrett and Riaz Amlani are worried. Um, Nobody really knows what is going to happen. But somebody like yourself, who has been a consultant to the railways, restaurant startups are always reaching out to you for advice. What is got to be the approach towards eating out in the coming months? I mean, we're too much of a passionate country as far as eating out is concerned. We all want to, but at what cost, and how do we do this?
I think it'll all get equalized. Uh, would there be pain in short term? Yes, there would be. There has been. It'll continue. In that, some existing businesses will get closed. Some would reinvent, and some new would come in. And that's how I think this is a time for churning, and that churn will happen. That churn will cause some pain for some people. That is bound to happen. But it does not mean that India will stop to eat. So one, we will continue to eat because there was a restricted environment for whatever reason, because of the virus itself, because of the lockdown, because of many else that's there. Because of that, there has been a pause button, but it'll start. The pace may be slow. It may not be the same, but that's how it is. So let's say what Atul and Abu, what they say, the way cameras were, I think there's been a democracy that has been brought in. There may be democracy that's there, but the consumption will go up.
Yep.
It's not that the consumption will go down. Now, how do you make business in that increased consumption? Is your talent, is how you see things. If you say, you know what, uh, uh, I used to be like this, my business was like this, now it is not there. No, it does not work like that. There was there was a camera with film, and there were people who were very emotional. The saturation of the film, the colors is very different, and digital, it does not give that. And I remember a very dear friend of mine, he lives in Montreal, is a photographer, and much older to me, but he listens to me. So I would tell him, I'd say, Paul, what you have to do is go on to digital. I said, no, it's not the same. It's not. And I pushed him. I pushed him. I was talking to him last night, and he says, and now he's given up. He's retired. He's 80 years. He says, you know what? This is what I tell my sons, that I was rigid, but Sanjeev Kapoor changed me into this. And he says that change is something. It helped me so much that today also I don't have to worry. So I think in restaurant business also, the way business was, I think tech has changed. It's like now it is not the way it was. So if we keep on saying that, oh, this is what my old camera, and you don't shift to the new camera, I think it will be disastrous. So what is the new lens? What is the new camera? I think for short to medium term, the emphasis on hygiene, healthy, would increase to some extent, but that will be short to mid-term. Experiential dining uh, would be forced, not because of choice, would be forced to cut down, right? So if you were making your money from experiential dining, then, so I had a restaurant team meeting this morning, and I said, we are creating model where I said, so till now, the way we have learned restaurant businesses, there are three parts. One is food, the other one is ambience, and third is the service of food. I said the new model, let's focus only on one, because the two other parts, we need to cut that down, where ambience, you don't have. So should I worry? I'm saying, no. Actually, two big cost heads, we don't need to invest now. Which is our biggest strength? Our biggest strength is food and who we are. So nobody can do that better than us. There were people who are doing better service, better ambience than us, but food is our core. So we have to create models where we focus on that. Cost of business comes down, cost to customer comes down, and that's a model that can be takeaway, that can be delivery, that can be where ambience is at someone else's cost. So says, how would that be? I said, it's like food courts, right? They said, but malls may not work. I said, no, shop in shop. This is meaning, I said, so let's say work from home has become something, but remember, not everyone has that luxury. How we have seen of shared office spaces. They may become, they may be smaller. Not everyone is WeWork, but that is people. Currently, you see a coffee machine there, and that could be a CCD coffee machine. But it can be a plug and play model where we say that, okay, I can open a restaurant there every day with my food, one person needed, and anyone who's coming there gets the food there, hygienic, and that's our branded food. And I said, where we are not paying for the real estate, it's a shop and shop concept where somebody else has brings in that footfall, brings in that, spends on interior, spends on that. So I think we have to evolve the model. Some we can play on the front foot and say this is how it will be. But I think there would be some changes that would happen, and the models would evolve in next 6 months, and agility would help. Early adoption would help.
Early adoption. I'm just so thrilled that you put your best foot forward during this crisis that the country is going through, and philanthropy is at the core of your existence. You're working with the Akshay Patra Foundation. You're very concerned about food for migrant workers, food in hospitals. I'd like you to tell us a little bit about, the areas that you're involved with and how much is your involvement in the
Sure.
crisis that the country is going through as far as COVID-19 is concerned.
Sure. Actually, as soon as the lockdown, so in Mumbai, lockdown for us started, I would say 10 days before the actual lockdown date was announced, because we cut down our staff by 50% 10 days before the actual lockdown. And I said, okay, I would also be part of that 50%. One day I would go, one day I would not. And the first day that I did not go, and I was at home, and I'm not used to that. And I had just returned 10 days before that from Australia, and my flight was from Delhi. And somebody had come up to me and said how I had met her 20 years ago and how I had done something special for her, cooked in Ahmedabad. And she gave me her card, and she said that, oh, there is this new problem that has happened in China and all of this. And I have come for a meeting here. And she was with ICMR. And she used to be dean of KEM College, very well. I didn't know her. And she gave me her card. Anyway, story done. And so after 10, 15 days, when I'm sitting at home, and I thought that was the time that I first heard of in Mumbai, Kasturba Gandhi Hospital. I never heard of it. I knew Lilavati, I knew Kasturba Gandhi Hospital, I never heard of. And that was talk of the town in some sense. And then I saw on a show that it looked like a government hospital. And I was sitting, I said, maybe we should do something. And maybe these staff and doctors and all of this, we can do something, and maybe we can give them some food. It'll cheer them up. It was nothing but just, how do I do this? Then I remembered her talking about this whole thing. I called her. I said, oh, do you think this is something I would like to do? Do you think they would be open to this? Said, oh, let me check. And she came back and said, wow, that's a very nice thought. And here's the number. This is the dean. And so I called the dean up, and I realized the number of people that were there in a shift. I thought it was a big hospital, many people. And I realized that the numbers were very few. And I was here willing to do more food. And they said, oh, no, we will have maybe 50 food packets in each shift. And that also is too much, including doctors. And I said, oh. So then I again called her. I said, maybe I can do for more hospitals. And so she gave me Seven Hills, KEM and Nair and all of that. And then I thought, okay, yeah, this is looking good. We can do this. And now kitchens were not open. I said, no, we need to do packets, institutionalize this. Let me see how we can do this. Then I thought that now by that time, lockdown had started and flights had stopped. So I thought of flight kitchen, that now flight kitchens are closed, shut. There's no business. They have spare capacity. So Taj Group CEO, MD is my batchmate, Puneet. I called him up. I said, Puneet, you know what? This is what I'm planning to do. Do you want to partner with me? And he said, what do I have to do? I said, we can cook in your kitchen. And whatever the cost is, I'll bear 50%, you bear 50%. And that's it. He says, give me one day. Next day, he called me and he says, yeah, we're on. I said, fantastic. And Taj being Taj, Puneet being himself, and Tata's being Tata's, Puneet called me. He says, do you think that we should do this in more cities? I said, okay, why not? So I called hospitals in Delhi. Then they started asking in Bangalore. And suddenly, within a week, we were giving foods in many hospitals in Mumbai, Delhi, and Bangalore. Then Coimbatore started, more hospitals started. Then I got a call from BMC office that, oh, we need food for police, we need for this, we need this. I said, okay. And in all of this, I realized that the restaurants were shutting down, and there were people who were looking for jobs. There were people who wanted to give food. I said, now I need to put things together. I said, so there were three parts. One is there are people who want to fund. Then there is part where people can cook food, and third is people who can distribute. So I created a docket on that. I took help of my brother, who is a strategy consultant. His son had just come back. He's studying in INSEAD. I called him. I said, Utsav, I need to create this whole thing. This is in my mind. He said, wow, that's fantastic. I said, we need to put these three pieces together: investment, production, and distribution. So distribution will create demand. Production would be done in kitchens. And if restaurants, caterers. So I called a friend in Delhi. I said, okay, do you want to do this? If we were to give you money, can you cook food? So yeah, we can cook food, but who will distribute? I said, we'll arrange that also. So we put that together. In a week's time, he was doing 150,000 meals every day. And I said, wow. So I started to, and I think in less than about 10 days, the word spread around that anyone who needed any help with any organization of this, I was just connecting the dots. What started as just a small thought, and certainly Taj took whole ownership of that. Tata Trust came into. There's a Taj Hotels Public Service Trust that came into it. They started funding. There's money that started to come in. The whole restaurant industry, national restaurant, and they started to pump in. Swiggy came on board. Zomato did, and they were distributing. Money was not a constraint. There was, and of course, you could see that need was everywhere. And what was heartening to see that at the core, there may have been some problems, but I think it's India's goodness. Even people who cannot afford, they share whatever they can, and it was so heartening to see that there was so much food at times. Then Ramadan started, and suddenly the demand dropped because there were people who were fasting, right? There were places that we were going to. So I remember talking to Roti Bank, D. Shivananda. He used to be our guy. So he does amazing work, and I called him. I said, sir, I'm having trouble with this. Can you distribute some food? He says, we are also facing the same thing. The demand has come down. Till yesterday, we were doing 30,000 meals a day. Now it's come down to 16,000. And we were laughing. I said, see, now there is so much that's there. Still, I'm sure that there were many people who could have done with more. But all in all, I would say that what we have seen, that there is compassion. And I think that's what keeps India going.
So I saw this wonderful video in which the singer avatar in you is very, very prominent. And I like the name. You know, you and your friends call yourself the survivalists, which could also be interpreted as the survivalists.
Yes.
Because there is sur and saz involved.
That's right.
So it's a wonderful song called Phir Tera Time Aayega. For all of you who are watching, listening, please go check it out. It's easily available. You could Google it, YouTube it, or it is on Mr. Kapoor's pages also. So tell me about that. I mean, it's a message of hope. It's wonderful. But your band of good people, how you all came together.
Okay. So this is actually the second song. So when this started, of course, interaction with the friends started to have, and two of my closest friends are Hariharan singer and Vinod Nair. So we've been friends for the last 25 years, very close friends. We were discussing, and we realized that there was a menace of rumors that the University of WhatsApp was spreading. So we thought that we need to do something, and there was the first song that we launched at that time. We called it Chappa Chappa Afwa Ruke, and that we did, and it did well. The intent was to take few things like rumors. If we can stop, we can help and contribute. And since we did work on that and worked reasonably well, said okay, now next project, and said now let's bring in some hope. Let's pump people up, because that's what people need, because there's too much of despair, too much of loss of hope, should I say. So we started working on it. And so since Hari's been a friend, we know so we have a band which we have had for years, which is, it's actually, the head office is my office. So my my room where I sit in my office, which I've not been to over 2 months, is actually, it does not look like a chef's room. It looks more like a musician's room. Uh, there's a drum kit, there's a keyboard, there's a guitar, there are mics, there are speakers, there is everything. And we have, because of Hariharan, who's such a good friend, since we would meet, our, I would say his influence on us on music has been so much. We formed a band, and since we could really not, and Hari was never a part of it. So we thought, okay, we'll learn. So we called our band a few years ago. We named it as Sur Na Mile, because we were novices. Then after a few years, we changed the name of the band, and we called it as Sur Ke Rahi, because now it's slightly, we were better than what we were. And then after some time, we changed that to Sur Ke Serious Rahi, because now we are getting serious, because we did a couple of live shows on this in few cities. So we've been together, and Roop, Hari, I, Vinod, we've been very good friends for years. So we just said, okay, let's do something. And then we asked a few other people, like Niti Mohan, I had met in Australia recently. So I asked her. Then Kapil Sharma we brought in, Mika we brought in, Riva, other people, and we just started as fun, as a project of fun and hope. And yeah, and then we said, okay, now the time to change name of the band, and so from Surna Mile to Surke Rahi to Surke Serious Rahi, it is Survivalist.
Beautiful. And it's turned out wonderful. The lyrics,
Yeah.
the music.
Sounds good. Yeah, Hari did an
It's
amazing job.
sounding
Yeah.
tight. It's sounding
Yes,
like
it is.
like a band which is meant to be together.
Yeah, and everyone has been locked up. There's not even one person. Like we have seen other videos that are done with big names and big stars, and we can see that there has been external camera team that has gone in, or all of that. Nothing. Everything has been shot on a phone, recorded on a phone, and it's still, as you say, it's looking and sounding tight.
Well, on a lighter note, I see these wonderful pictures of the Kapoor family playing, board games. I hope you are winning, or is your wife and your daughter managing to beat you more than you beat them?
Oh, actually, no. But I've been lucky. I would say that on board games I've been winning, but on card games I've been losing.
No
You
shame
win
in losing to
something,
the ladies.
yeah.
No shame in losing to the ladies.
Exactly. No, not at all. Yeah. And I only have ladies around me. My mother-in-law is with us. My daughter's my wife. Everyone.
Lovely. So, how are you? I know you haven't had a moment to really breathe and reflect, considering you're doing so much. But is there a skill that you picked up during lockdown? Something that you've added to, your professional or personal pursuits?
So I've always I'm I love to learn. Knowledge is something that I feel that there's no end to it. So I've joined few courses, and I'm also working on some online courses which I want to start, which currently in India they are not there. And since last year there are not too many case studies on chefs worldwide. There are about 7 or 8 case studies in Harvard. So since there was one that was done last year on me, so I've taken a few courses from Harvard. So I'm pursuing that. I've started learning a little bit on the AI and ML side. Yeah, so because the company that I have on Amazon Alexa and Cooklawn skill that we have, the founder of that Bahubali, his name is Bahubali Shetty, and he's an expert in that. And I try and say, I said, you know what, I don't know whether you'll be able to learn how to cook, but I can tell you, I learn AI and ML. I say, yeah, I know why because I enjoy. I enjoy anything that I don't know. I enjoy knowing. So it's nothing to do with. So yeah, but not. I don't think there is any other skill that I would say that I have acquired. No, no painting which I can do, but yeah, maybe some other time.
Is that painting right behind you done by someone in the family, or is that something
No,
you
no, no, no. That's
collected?
Vasudev. No, it's a
Ah.
yeah.
Well, my last question is, how's the cooking for family going?
Oh, very good actually. Now my mom and mother-in-law both are here. Between my wife, I, and both mothers. I don't think we take turns. It's just that anyone who wants to cook. So every day, once a day, we sit down and plan for at least 2 days as to, okay, what do we want to eat and what. So this evening, there's some trial also happening because there are new product launches that I'm looking at. We did some trial of brownies, vegan brownies, day before yesterday. Yesterday was some dhansak with brown rice, and today it's going to be whole wheat vegan pizza that we would be trying. So it's fun. I would say every 2 days, my daughters they instruct me. This is what we want, so I cook that.
It's such a pleasure. It's so fascinating to talk to you because there are so many facets to you. You know, there is the entrepreneur, at the heart of it. You're still the chef that you started off being, the musician. I remember you telling me about your drumming exploits, and now we've heard more about that. Never a dull moment when you're around, Mr. Sanjeev Kapoor. Thank you very much. I wish for you, your family, your colleagues, your extended family, great health and safety more than anything else.
Thank you, Rishi. Thank you for having me here. Thank you, and wish all the listeners best of health and best of good times that will start to come sooner than later.
Thank you, sir. Cheers.
Thank you.